After spending 30 years working in the corporate world, including 23 years at a major Hollywood studio, I decided to write a book. It's called From Graduation to Corporation, the practical guide to climbing the corporate ladder one rung at a time. I'm Andy Teach, and this is From Graduation to Corporation. I want to go back to the beginning of your career. I guess it was after high school, you joined the U.S. Army as a military policeman, and you did it for 3 years. What led you to that decision to join the military?
It was primarily financial. I had no money for college. My parents weren't in a position to pay for school, and at that time the GI Bill was pretty good. And I wasn't really exactly sure what I wanted to do. So the military seemed like a great avenue for a few years, so I enlisted for 3 years. In the military, you learn things about performance, you learn about the team, you learn about the value of having everyone trained and competent in their roles. But more than anything, you learn about dealing with different people. And I think in terms of HR, that's a critical competency I think you have to be successful. Actually, a critical competency you need to have as a leader.
And then after that, you went to a community college.
Yes. For
a couple of years. Did you even consider going to four-year colleges, or was that a financial decision?
Yeah, again, it was primarily financial. It's what I could afford. There was a 2-year community college that turned out to have kind of the basic business program I wanted.
Okay, and then you went to Cornell University
Yes.
after that, and that's one of the top schools in the country. Your degree was industrial relations.
Correct.
What exactly is industrial relations?
Industrial relations is really human resource management. It deals with all the things in HR, personnel. Cornell is one of the best schools for that degree.
Right. So you knew back then, it sounds like you wanted to get in HR as a career.
Yeah. In my 2-year program, I kind of concluded that would be a legitimate career path for me. And then I went out and tried to find a school that had a specific program that related to that, and also had a high placement rate. I actually was very focused on getting a job after 4 years.
So when you started out your career, you worked at Pepsi-Cola North America,
Yeah.
and you were there for, I think it was 9 years.
Correct.
And you became Vice President of Employee Relations.
Well, Pepsi was a great company because one of the things about Pepsi is results really matter at that company. So what you learned very quickly is if you didn't perform, you weren't going to be successful. So you learned about getting results. Second, I think I took from that experience is building a network and listening to your mentors and sponsors and your boss, quite frankly, and taking advice and learning how to take feedback and apply that feedback on the job. And I think that's been a great benefit to me throughout my career.
Let's talk about the millennials in the workplace.
Sure.
This is the youngest generation in the workplace, and they're known for being goal-oriented, very intelligent. On the other hand, there's a negative stereotype, and one of them is they're impatient, they want to move up quickly.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything the millennials can do so they can acclimate faster into, let's say, a certain culture?
My experience has been the most successful people in their careers, they're constantly learning. And the way they learn is they observe, they ask questions, they challenge assumptions, and when they see things that they don't understand or they're not sure why did it work that way, they ask.
When you're interviewing people for positions here, executive positions, what do you look for in a candidate?
Yeah. So if you're looking for leaders, right, of any level, quite frankly, you're typically looking for things like obviously high integrity, great communication skills, kind of the ability to set an agenda and get people to follow them. Clearly results orientation. I think achievement and results orientation is critical for leaders because they tend to be pace setters for the rest of the organization. And then, of course, technical competence, that whatever job you're hiring for, they have a basic level of competence that you can count on.
Now, in your career, I assume you may have made a few mistakes like everybody else.
Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes you made that you learned from,
Yeah.
that you kind of turned around in your career?
Of course, I have made mistakes, and I think a couple things I've learned about making mistakes is one is admit the problem right away. You know, acknowledge the problem, acknowledge responsibility, don't duck that. Communicate right away. Don't let bad news kind of fester. Get it out on the table. And then be really good at recovery. Figure out what you're going to do about fixing the mistake you made, if you can, and have a plan to do that.
In terms of career advancement, what do you think slows down people the most? And is there anything you can tell people that will help them continually move up the ladder?
I think if I was going to give anybody advice is always get great results. Be clear on what you're supposed to do and knock the ball out of the park.